An old man accidentally came into possession of an ancient artifact. He tried turning the knob on it, and to his surprise, 6 tentacles suddenly sprang out from the device. The grandfather and grandson thought it was just a novel toy, but then the tentacles suddenly stood upright and grabbed the old man's hand with a fierce grip. The excruciating pain made him jump up, and it took all his strength to pull the thing off. The artifact, now stained with blood, retracted its tentacles in apparent satisfaction. At first, the old man didn't think much of it, but late at night, he suddenly became unbearably thirsty, and only felt a bit better after gulping down a whole glass of water. At that moment, the wound on his bandaged hand began to itch. The itching was driving him crazy. Even stranger, when he saw raw meat in the fridge, he couldn't control his craving to eat it. The old man didn't pay much attention to these abnormal changes, but the wound on his hand kept itching more and more, and nothing he tried could stop it. Somehow, he found himself picking up the artifact that had injured him earlier that day. He then unwrapped the bandage and placed the artifact in his palm. When he wound it up, the tentacles immediately emerged again, and as the sharp tips pierced his palm, the old man actually felt an indescribable sense of pleasure, something he didn't even notice. As the gears inside the artifact turned, his blood was slowly being drained away. The insect sleeping inside was beginning to awaken. The next morning, the old man was surprised to find he had become younger. After shaving, his wife, who had been indifferent, looked at him with delight. This transformation gave him a huge boost in confidence. But when he went to his shop, he found the lock pried open and the place a complete mess. Brazenly, the vandal had left an address on his desk. He realized the customer who bought the angel statue noticed the missing artifact he had withheld and trashed the shop in revenge. Wanting to find the origin of the artifact and seek compensation, the old man decided to visit the address. He was greeted there by another elderly gentleman. The other man took out a yellowed ancient book, which contained the origins of the artifact. About 400 years ago, an alchemist, in his pursuit of immortality, created this object called the Demon's Silver Claw. It could extend one's lifespan and restore youth, but the user had to pay a price, so how it was used was especially crucial. Over 40 years ago, the alchemist who created this artifact was buried alive when his house collapsed, with sharp metal fragments piercing his chest. His skin was covered in strange patterns, and the last words he spoke before dying remain a mystery to this day. And so the demon Silver Claw vanished without a trace, until one day a swarm of cockroaches crawled out from a shattered angel statue, and the artifact was rediscovered by the old man. Ever since this man obtained the ancient book, he had been searching for the immortal artifact described within its pages. Especially now, as he was gravely ill and had little time left, his desire for the demon's guidance grew ever stronger. During the struggle for the artifact, he realized that the old man had already used it, so he immediately ordered his men to drive the old man away. But after the old man left, when he opened the box, he found only a padlock inside. When the old man returned home and discovered the artifact was missing, he knew that only he and his granddaughter were aware of it. He was afraid that his granddaughter might misuse the artifact, but also worried that this treasure, capable of granting immortality, might be lost forever. Fortunately, the old man eventually found his granddaughter in the warehouse. The girl had witnessed her grandfather using the demon's silver claw and, worried it might harm him, secretly hid the artifact. It was only after her grandfather promised never to use it again that she handed it back. But the naive granddaughter had no idea just how irresistible the temptation of immortality was for someone at the end of their days. The old man's chest was pierced by the strange device covered in sharp spikes, and as the mechanism inside whirred, a swarm of insects within slowly absorbed his blood. Yet a look of satisfaction appeared on the old man's face. Ever since he discovered that this magical device could keep him young, he had often used it to wound himself, but this time he noticed that the blood flowing out was unusually thick. Still, when he looked in the mirror and saw his younger face, he completely forgot about the potential dangers of the device. Ever since he started using the device, his relationship with his wife had grown better and better, and they often showed affection in public. Just then, a guest suddenly had a nosebleed that wouldn't stop. The old man couldn't suppress his excitement at the sight of blood and pretended to go get food. But in reality, he quietly followed the guest. In the restroom, he stared intently at the blood flowing from the man's nose. Seeing the bloodstain, he washed it away. The frustrated man noticed a drop left on the floor and bent to lick it. As he savored it, he was stunned and kicked unconscious, then dragged from the restroom. When he regained consciousness, he found a strange man standing beside him. The man's uncle had been tracking the artifact. Hearing the old man wanted the treasure for himself, he sent his nephew to seize it. But when the old man said the artifact granted immortality, the man hesitated. He first wanted his uncle's fortune, but now seeking the artifact's power, he decided to kill him. He pushed the man and his car off a cliff, staging it as a drunk driving accident. But his uncle only cared if the heart was intact, as the artifact's user only dies if the heart is destroyed. The still lifeless old man was sent to the funeral home. Staff, eager to leave, sealed his wound with gum. At the funeral, the man secretly pinched the body's nose to confirm his death. After no reaction, he relievedly sighed. Right before the cremation, the maintenance worker failed to notice that the corpse inside the coffin had disappeared. When the man came to check, he found that the coffin had already been sent into the incinerator. Just as he thought the old man was already dead, he had no idea that the resurrected old man had already slipped out of the funeral home. His facial wound still hadn't healed. To find the artifact's secret, the old man snuck into a factory, unaware his granddaughter followed. They slipped into a room searching for Devil's Claw clues, but missed that the owner had woken up. While checking the manuscript, he realized the most crucial page was torn out. Just then, the host appeared behind them. Anticipating the old man's resurrection and questioning, he'd already destroyed the key evidence. The old man complained that despite promises of eternal life from the Devil's Claw, his skin was rotting faster. The man ordered him to tear off the decay, then impatiently ripped it off himself. Beneath the rot was a pale, new layer. Though its texture was strange, it was the true mark of immortality. But immortality means becoming a monster, needing human blood to stay young. The old man hated these consequences, but the sick man had always craved eternal life through the demon's talon. He promised to restore the old man's humanity as part of the deal. Unexpectedly, the man turned on him, stabbing the old man with a stick before pointing a knife at his heart. After all, only a heart strike could truly kill him. At the critical moment, the granddaughter ambushed the man from behind, but when the old man saw the man lying in a pool of blood, he could no longer suppress his craving for blood. He ignored his granddaughter beside him and lunged forward, frantically sucking the man's blood. Just then, the man's nephew showed up, and the pair quickly hid to avoid being seen. Unexpectedly, when the nephew saw his uncle dying in a pool of blood, he burst out laughing wildly. When his uncle begged for help, he delivered a final kick, ending his life. He'd long coveted the inheritance. After the pair ambushed him, the man refused to let them go. Trapped on the roof with nowhere to run, he closed in on them. Seeing this, the old man pushed his granddaughter toward the fire escape. Ensuring his granddaughter was safe, he grabbed the man and jumped from the building. The granddaughter, looking at her dying grandfather, placed the bloodthirsty demonic talon on him. As sharp claws pierced him, the man revived and new pale skin spread across his body. Blood seeped from the granddaughter's wound as her grandfather, turned monster, closed in. The girl showed no fear, she simply called out to him softly. The call snapped him back. He removed the mutating demonic claw. It resisted control, but the old man smashed it with a stone. With the artifact shattered, the old man's life ended. Finally, he rested peacefully beside his granddaughter, better than eternity, as a monster in shadows.